activity is some kind of box and a ball. So it can be a citrus box that you get fruit in, or it can just be a box like this that has some kind of lip like this that a ball can't fall out of. And then it can be any size ball. It can be a tennis ball. I've used a small bouncing ball like this. Now inside the box, inside the lip, you are going to draw a smiley face. So some eyes, a nose, ears, I've just drawn some hair, and then I used the other hole to make a mouth. Now the mouth needs to be relatively big. The reason mine isn't huge is because my ball isn't big. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put the ball inside, and your child is going to roll the ball around until they get the ball inside the mouth. So that's the aim of this activity, is for them to get the eye-hand coordination to move the ball around until they can get it in the mouth. Now you have a choice. You can either make the mouth big enough that the ball can go right through, and it's as if this little man is eating the ball, and that's exciting for them, or you can make it just big enough that the ball gets stuck, and then they don't have to keep picking up the ball. If you have a bigger ball, like a tennis ball, please just make sure that the hole is big enough that the ball gets into the mouth. Otherwise that ball is just going to roll around and around and around. If it is a smaller ball, make sure that the mouth is small then. If you're using a box such as this one, then you can draw a bigger face, and then you just use scissors to make a hole that fits your size ball. It's totally up to you. If for instance you see here that there's holes here, simply just glue the lid like this, so that the ball can't fall out, and you can just roll it around in the smiley face until the ball gets to the hole. Today's fine motor skill, we're going to do cutting. So what we need is we need paper and we need scissors. You can use newspaper or magazine paper if you don't have, or just any plain piece of paper. Now the two important skills that we need to remember is that when we cut, our scissors always points to the roof to avoid us cutting our fingers, and that we rub their thumb to keep it warm so that they know that this finger goes into the one hole and the other two fingers go into the other hole. Now what we've been practicing lately is that they snip paper. Now I am just going to hold my scissors down for the point of the video, but you remind them to hold their scissors pointing to the roof, and that they hold their paper with the other hand. So when we snip paper, we remind them open, closed, like a shark or a crocodile, open, closed. So we start with just snipping to remind them. Open, closed, 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 open, closed. Then you're going to turn the paper. They're still holding it with this hand. Doesn't matter if they're bending the paper or. Now we're going to open, close, 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 till we go across the paper. Again. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, across the paper. Now obviously you're going to get a bit of hacking and you're going to get this effect. Doesn't matter. What we are trying to today do the skill is that when we cut, we're actually going across something. It's not just plain snipping like this. So we're going to open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, all the way across the paper. And we're going to keep doing that. You can do some open, close up in the air in the beginning as a warm-up, then do your snipping, and then cut across the paper. Do this a few times for your child to get to the concept of when we cut across the paper. Today we're going to do a vocabulary lesson. Now these are very important concepts that your child needs to know. So what I'd like you to do is practice this with your child. I am, for today's purposes, just going to use a teddy bear and a child and demonstrate it on this table. But please, you must physically do it with your child, using a chair and making your child do the actions themselves. So your child will be the teddy bear, and then you'll just use a normal dining room chair, or you can use a normal plastic chair that they sit on. So we're going to do prepositions. So what I'm going to be using today is this teddy. This teddy is going to represent your child, and then just this chair, which is just going to represent any chair in your house. So the first action we're going to do is on top of. So if you say get on top of, this is on top of the chair. So you'll say to your child, sit on top of, which is on top of the chair. Then we've got in front of. So make your child go in front of the chair. Then obviously we've got next to. So go next to the chair. It's like standing next to a friend. Then we've got behind. Go behind the chair. Like behind a friend. And then the last one we've got under. Go under the chair. So if we go through it again, we've got on top of the chair. Then we've got in front of the chair. We've got next to the chair. And we've got under the chair. Please practice these with your child, and so that they clearly understand what they must do. Do it with a chair and then do it in another circumstance. So then you can say, go stand in front of mommy. Stand next to mommy. Stand behind mommy. Please don't stand on top of mommy, but you can say, go stand on top of the pillow. Go climb under the pillow. And then just so that you can test that they truly understand what you are asking. Today's fine motor activity is tearing. Now tearing is very important for your fine motor skills because it works all these muscles, which is important for writing. It's important for eye-hand coordination, which you use in sport. It's for all different skills. Now we're going to tear different textures. Now I've just found some household objects that were lying around, and this is what we're going to use today. You can find anything that you have in the house. This is just some newspaper, old egg carton, tin foil, normal paper, tooth box, toilet roll. You can find what you have. Now what I would recommend is that you start with what they know. So you can start with some paper. Now when we tear, we start with our thumb and our index finger. We put it between, thumb and index finger, we put it between, and we encourage that tearing motion. Tear, tear. Okay, you can tear it into small bits. Then you can go to the next texture, tear. Now what you will find with a lot of our children is that they don't want to tear different textures because it's not a nice feeling for them. But it's very important that they do, because some of it's very easy, like for example tinfoil tears very easily. But if you want to tear a toilet roll, it's not so easy, because to get my fingers in there is not so easy. But it's important that they do, because they need to. If you look for instance at my thumb, look at the pressure I have to apply. So they're going to battle, but you need to get them to tear different textures. If your child is really battling, you can start it for them like this, and then they can start tearing the rest, or they can tear it all the way and then they can start tearing cardboard. Same with this. They can tear the cardboard and then tear it into small pieces. Newspaper, easy, tear. Obviously the focus here is not demolition and destruction, it is the skill of tearing. We want to get this skill, working on our fine motor skills. As you can see here, fine motor skills, small pieces. If you look at this, this is going to be quite challenging to tear. So encourage your child to find the hole, to stick their finger in the hole and tear. And then tear into smaller pieces. Find whatever you can find in the house. They can tear plastic. They can tear, I'm trying to think of other examples. If they'd like to, they can play with cotton wool. Tear little pieces of cotton wool. Whatever they'd like to, a cereal box. But what we want to do is get them to make it into lots of small pieces, working these fingers. Today's fine motor activity is cutting. So what you will need is you'll need a cookie, you'll need paper, and you'll need scissors. Now the two important rules that we need to remember when we cut is that the scissors always points to the roof, that you rub their thumb so that it's nice and warm, and then remember that that warm finger goes in the one hole and the other two fingers go in the other hole. Before you start, you can get them to open and close the scissors so that they remember that that's how we cut. Other hand holds the paper. Now what we are going to do today is the first activity is we're just going to fold the paper. Doesn't matter how many times. We're just going to fold it so that there's some lines on the paper so that they can do some straight cutting. Just rub it a few times so that we've got some lines. Simple, no printing necessary, no drawing necessary. The child can even fold it so that there's some lines and it's exciting for them. Rub their finger. That one goes in the one hole, other hole. Point to the roof, hold the paper. Now I'm just going to point down so that you can see for cutting purposes on the video. Hold with this hand, and obviously we're cutting on the line, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. Remind them it's like a shark or a crocodile. Again, and this is what they're going to do on all the lines. We're teaching them that we cut across. That's our first activity. A second activity, we're going to take a piece of paper and we're going to take our cookie. Now, you can either let your child draw the circle, which is quite fun for them because then they feel like they are involved in the activity. Now, if they are drawing, remind them that when we hold a pen, we hold it at the bottom. We hold with the thumb, this finger and this finger like a triangle, and then let them draw the circle. Now, if the circle's not perfect, it doesn't matter, because all we want to do is encourage them to cut out an object. So if it is skew, it doesn't matter. Rub their thumb, put it in the one hole, other two fingers in this hole, hold your scissors up, hold with the other hand. I'm going to hold my scissors down for video purposes, and then let them cut out around the object. If they're holding the paper up, you will see that because their scissors is pointed up, they'll have to keep turning the paper in order to cut out the object. So we're practicing different skills today. We are practicing cutting out on a line and cutting out an object. You will see if the scissors point to the roof, your child will have to keep turning the paper, otherwise they will cut through the object. Today's sensory lesson is rainbow spaghetti. So what you need to do is you need to cook spaghetti and then add different food coloring to give it a rainbow effect. Now the reason we are using spaghetti is to give the children a different textured feeling. Now it's very nice because it's got a cold feeling and the children will enjoy the wormy kind of experience. Now you can add all kinds of things for them to play with, like bowls, like spoons. Plastic knife is very good for cutting and it develops their fine motor skills and gives them the imaginative element of cooking in a kitchen, as do the bowls and the spoons. If you want, you can add some water and then it can create a soup effect or whatever you feel is necessary. I would recommend that you use a tray with a lip or let them play on a table surface. They can even play outside if you'd like. But it is a very good sensory experience, and you can add it with rice or you can add it with flour or whatever you'd like, or you can just simply use the spaghetti. Today's activity, we are going to do a matching and sorting activity. So what you need to do is take your child's socks. Then you undo their socks. And then you're going to mix them all up. Now, what I do recommend is that you don't get socks that are very similar. So you don't get 2 pairs of black socks and you don't get 2 pairs of blue socks, because then it gets quite confusing for them. Then you're going to say to them, right, find this socks friend and make a matching pair. So they must dig through the pile of socks and then they must find this socks friend. Now, my recommendation is that obviously you use all of these socks so that there's a big pile of socks here. I'm just using a few as an example. So then they dig and hopefully find the socks friend, and then you encourage them to roll it and make a matching pair. And then they can put it to the side. Then you can say, right, find this socks friend, and so forth, and then they make a matching pair. So what you are doing here is you are doing sorting and you are doing matching. Then you can once again do this, mix it, and then you can say, right, make pairs. So you are not choosing the sock for them. Now they must choose a sock and make matching pairs. So here is just a pile of socks, and now your child must figure out which sock to choose and then find its matching pair. Today's lesson is constructive construction. Now it's very important for your child to also have construction lessons. So this is where you allow them to play, whether it's with Lego blocks or like this construction material. So this is where they can play, they can start building whatever they want, they're sitting playing, but you also have to lead the play. So this is where you can ask them to build you a tower, and they can start stacking the blocks up, making a tower. Or you can ask them to build you a house, and they can start building walls next to each other, for example. Or you can say, please put 2 red blocks on top of each other. Please put 2 blue blocks on top of each other. So you are also guiding the play while they are playing. So you allow them to have some free play where they're doing whatever they want, where they are building together, where they want to build a man maybe, and they're putting a head, and then they're putting a body, and then they're putting some arms, and then they can put some legs, or whatever they want to build. And then you also guide with some questions. But then to add to the play so that we encourage some imagination as well, you can add some plastic toys, whether it's farm animals, whether it's dinosaurs, whether it's ponies, whether it's some dolls. It's just to stimulate imagination while you are playing. So you can play with them, and you can say, oh, look, the dinosaur is eating. But now he's thirsty, so he needs some water. Let's build a dam for him. Here's a dam. What color do you think a dam is? What color is water? Oh, it's blue, so he needs to have blue. Oh, this dinosaur's hungry. What do you think he needs to eat? Oh, meat. What color is meat? And then you can give him some meat because it's full of blood. This one's hungry, but he doesn't eat meat. What can he eat? And then you can go on. Here's 2 babies. Oh, who has babies? Oh, this mommy. Okay, let's give. And so you can encourage play as well and imagination, but also make sure that your child is definitely doing construction. Construction play is so vitally important, and we often think, no, my child shouldn't be playing. They should only be doing schoolwork, and they should only be counting, and they should only, but it is just as important for them to be doing play. Right, today's lesson is a coloring in lesson. Now, because our theme is road safety, obviously we've got our robot. We are doubling it up with a life skills lesson where we are teaching the children that a robot is red, yellow, orange, green. Red means stop. Why we say yellow is because it rhymes with slow. Yellow, slow, but it is also orange. And then green means go. So you go through the colors with them, and then obviously you color it black. If you'd like them to color the background, you can as well. Please remember, I always say let them choose one color. Why? You put the colors out. What is your child going to do? They're going to start packing it beautifully for you. Or they're going to start unscrewing it for you. Or they're just going to start playing and building a tower. So you put the colors back. Then you tell your child you want them to take out green. We're going to color in here. If your child is not sure of the colors yet, you take it out for them. Remember, our focus here is crab hand. Crab hand holds the paper flat. We're encouraging them to hold it close to the bottom and as close to a triangular grip as possible. If they don't have a triangular grip, that's fine. We're just trying to get them to hold at the bottom. We're coloring from this side to this side. If they're not staying in the lines, that's not our focus at this stage. We want a wide coloring from this side to this side. Wide coloring in one direction. Doesn't matter, but we're not wanting this kind of coloring. We're wanting this kind of coloring. Even at this stage, if you're guiding the hand and then stopping and letting them color by themselves, then guiding the hand, let them color by themselves. This is the kind that we want. To stop this, you put your hand here so that they color against your hand, and then you show them, wow, look how beautifully you colored. Good job. And then you move on to this one. And then every time they color, you say, stop, black line, stop, black line, so that we can try and encourage them to stay in the line. Today's fine motor activity is tracing patterns. Now, I like to use Kokies when we trace patterns purely because it is brighter for a child to see and they can get the sensory feedback when they push down. However, you are welcome to use crayons, you are welcome to use twisties, it doesn't matter. I will have sent a template like this. If you do not have a printer, you are more than welcome to draw a pattern for your child. Doesn't have to be a dotted line. You can draw a straight line for them to trace over. You can draw a wavy line for them to trace over. You can draw a zigzag line for them to trace over. You can draw a loop-de-loop line for them to trace over. It really doesn't matter what type of lines. You can look at the template that I have sent and you can just mimic that, and then your child can trace over it. So basically, the skills that we are focusing on when we are doing tracing is obviously the way that they hold the pen, the Koki, whatever they are working with. Obviously, the thicker the better at this age. So now we're encouraging them to hold down and we are looking at their grip. If they don't have the perfect triangular grip, it's not a problem. We're just encouraging the best grip that we can. So the thumb here, the index finger there, and it's resting on the finger at the bottom, we call the triangular grip. So we start on this side and we go to this side, the way that we color. So we're going across. We want them to stay on the line as much as possible. So they go slow. It's not a race to go across because then look, I can't follow the lines. So we go slow, we go from dot to dot. If it is a solid line like you have drawn here, it's not a problem. We go slowly and we stay on the black line. Go slow, stay on the black line. It's like a car that's going to win a race. If it's a little girl and you don't want to talk about a car, you say it's like a pony that's going on its special trail into a magical forest. Or you can say it's fairy that's flying and she's trying to follow a map. Or it's a princess that's following a trail into a forest. Make it exciting for your child. It doesn't always have to be work. Okay, this could be a pirate that's following a magical map to get to a treasure, and we have to help him get there, otherwise he can't get to the X. So make sure that your child is following. If we have skipped here, doesn't matter. This is very good tracing. So we make sure that we are focusing on how we hold and that we're going slow and that we are focusing on going on the dots. If they are tracing here, this is wrong. We encourage them to go up. Zigzags are difficult, so what we do is we focus on going from point to point. So we go down, we can make points for them. Go from dot to dot, make a dot. From dot to dot, make a dot. From dot to dot. If you see your child is battling the same here with a wavy wave, make a dot, make a dot. So go to the dot, go to the dot. Because often a long space is quite intimidating. Same with running a race. If you have to run a 5 kilometer, it's quite intimidating, but if you have to run a 1 kilometer, it's not as bad. So make a dot and then let your child just work to the dot. Today we're doing a perceptual activity where we're going to build faces with Play-Doh. What you need is an outline of a face and some Play-Doh. If you can't print the outline of the face, all you need is a piece of paper and a Koki. You can simply draw a circle for your child, and then you're just going to build a face like that. Let your child use some Play-Doh, and then you're going to build a face. So I'm just going to use this outline for now. They can roll, they can make some eyes. You're going to encourage them to put it in the right place. Obviously a nose, a mouth, then some hair. The hair is dependent on what type of hair they want to make. They can make little balls, they can make little worms, they can make long hair. The aim here is for them to make different types of faces. So then we can start making different types of eyes. We can start making different types of noses. We can start adding sorry, excuse me, earrings to the ears. Like I said, we can start making worm hair. Okay, our focus obviously here is to start putting the face structure in the right place, that our eyes are in the right place. We can even start making pupils. We can make eyebrows. And then if you'd like to do an extension with your child, we can start building emotions. So usually when we do a mouth, we always put it in a happy face. But then we can start saying, well, what if the person is sad? And then we can start making a sad face. What if the person is confused? What would their face look like? What if they're excited? And you can start building different emotions with your child and helping them identify what would a face look like if it's happy, sad, confused, excited, and all of these emotions. Today's fine motor activity is stamping. Now stamping is lots of fun for the children. So you can find anything in your house to stamp. So this is, for instance, a child's cup to play with. At the bottom, this is beautiful for stamping. This is a fly swatter that I used to swat my husband with. So this is an excellent pattern to swat with. These are some stamps that you can use to stamp with. This is purely a piece of sponge and a peg to stamp with. Just a juice mixer will make a lovely pattern. A sponge that you can stamp with. So all you need is a little container that you can either, if you have some paint, you can put some paint in, or you can put your normal food coloring, any color. So I'm just going to use food coloring because obviously not everyone has paint lying around at home. Let's use green just for the fun of it. You can mix it with water if you want. I'm just going to use straight food coloring. You dip your object in and then you let your child stamp. Doesn't matter what they want to stamp with. Obviously, if you're using a sponge like that one, you're going to have to put more in your container. I now haven't put a lot, just for example purposes. And then you let them just stamp. The reason why this is a good fine motor activity is your child needs to, for instance, with this sponge, they're working with picking up, dabbing, and then dabbing, 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 dabbing. Same with this picking up, dabbing in, dabbing, dabbing, dabbing. So you can use anything. You can use a fork. A fork you can put in, and I'm going to use this as an example of a fork. A fork you can put in, let me just get another piece of paper to show you. A fork you can put in, I'm not sure if this is going to work exactly like a fork because it's going to bend, and you can scrape it along like this. And it's lots of fun because it makes lots of patterns along the paper. You can even make wiggly patterns like that with a fork. Simple things in your house that you didn't realize. You can use a potato masher and it makes lovely patterns, similar to how this will make a pattern when you put it in and stamp along like that. So anything lying around the house, mom's makeup brushes that you're not using anymore, a normal Today's fine motor activity is gluing. Now it's also a skill that's very important for children to learn. So what we will need is glue, a paper, and then what I've done is I've cut different pieces out of a magazine to build a body. Now you can also draw this on a piece of paper. You can even draw stickmen, you can draw a head, you can draw, just show you, you can draw a head, you can draw a t-shirt, you can draw pants, you can draw shoes. I'm not going to attempt that upside down because it might not look the way it should, and just cut it out. And then there's different things for a child to build a body. You can draw a hat, all different things. Now this I just cut out of a magazine. You'll see here is a suit, here is a dress, here are some shoes, a hat, a watch, different things that they can build a body with. The exercise here is to teach a child to glue. Now I'll show you now how this works on fine motor skills. The first thing that we're going to teach them with glue is when we start with the glue, this is not how we work with glue. When we start with glue, glue starts flat on the surface. So we turn it 1, 2 if they want to. You can start with 1, but that will not satisfy them, so you can go 2. Now let's say we want to start with a dress. I do not encourage this kind of gluing because your child will automatically glue like this. So we can start like this, pulling it across the glue. This is the safest way to not get glue everywhere. Let them glue. Then they can choose a head. If they want to stick a man's head, please encourage them and say a man does not wear a dress. So we get a head, doesn't matter what head, they can look through whatever you've cut out, see, I like this head, here's a head, here's a head, I want this head. Drag it across the glue and stick a head. Then they can look again what you have, no, I like this hat. Stick. If they stick it skew, at this stage this is not the skill we're focusing on. If you want to correct them and say stick it straight, you can. But remember, this is the skill that we are focusing on. If you give too many commands at once, your child is going to be totally discouraged and not want to take part in the activity. The activity is gluing. The activity is not stick straight, fix this, stick that, not this. So for instance, if you look here, the watch is much bigger than this. Doesn't matter. My point here is that a watch doesn't go on a head. So if your child now takes the watch and wants to stick it here, you say, no, my lovey, look here. Where do we wear a watch? Now, I don't wear a watch, but you say, does daddy wear a watch here? No, he wears it on his arm. Where would her arm be? Here. So let's stick it there. And that's how you carry on. Yes, she doesn't have legs, but where would she wear her shoe? Down there. Would she wear it here? No, we don't wear shoes on our arms, so you can encourage her. If he sticks it like this or she sticks it like that, it doesn't matter. When we do this gluing activity, please do 1 girl and 1 boy. If they want to do 5 boys, that's great, but make sure that you also do a woman. It's very important that we get a body image of a girl and of a boy. So if you are drawing it, stick me, just make sure that you have a boy's head and then that you have a girl's head as well, and that you draw a dress then, just so that they make sure that they understand the difference between a girl's body image and a boy's body image. Today's fine motor activity is rolling balls. Now you can roll balls with all different textures. You can just use plain simple paper. When you tear, they can tear it, and then they take it between their thumb and the index finger, they squish it, and then they must roll it into a little ball. Obviously, the smaller the piece of paper, the easier this is. Now I would encourage something like tin foil, because it is much easier to roll into a ball. So they squish it, and then they must roll it. You see, it's much easier to roll into a ball than paper. What you can also do is squish it and then make them roll it with the next finger, the thumb and the middle finger. Does get more challenging with each finger, obviously, but it's a good skill to get them to work with each finger. So you keep tearing, squish it, and then roll it with the next finger, and then roll it with the pinky finger. The smaller the torn paper, sorry, not teared, the torn paper, the better the ball. If you want to scrunch and roll a big ball, say your child now tore such a big piece of paper, you can roll with 2 hands. So you scrunch it nice and small, and then get them to roll between their 2 hands. You've got muscles here in your palms as well, so it's good for them to roll between the 2 hands. If you don't have tin foil, it's not a problem. You can use paper as well. If you have colored paper, it's perfectly fine as well. You squish it, scrunch it, while your child scrunches it and rolls it between their 2 palms and makes a ball. Tear, scrunch it into a little ball and rolls it between their thumb and their index finger. Very important skill. And then after that, you do it with your left hand. So they do some with their right hand, and then you move on to your left hand. Remember, it's equally important to develop your fingers in your right hand as it is to develop in your left hand. Today's art activity is rather a baking activity. So as we're doing road safety, we've built a truck, a car, and a robot. So what we've used is we've used Smarties, wafers, jelly babies, finger biscuits or boudoir biscuits, and some icing sugar. Now, I've done this in advance just for the purposes of the video. So all you need to do is you need to take a wafer, then you ice jelly babies on, you ice Smarties on as a wheel, you ice some wafer on as a windscreen, and you ice some Smarties on as lights. Then to make a robot, you ice Smarties on as the pole, icing sugar. To make black, you mix red, blue and green, and then obviously you ice the lights on, red Smartie, orange Smartie and a green Smartie. And then here I've made a truck. This is a finger biscuit, iced on jelly baby, iced on some green for plants, iced on Rolos, and then iced some Smarties for light. You are welcome to make whichever cars or vehicles you would like to. Obviously the focus here is the robot, because this is what we're learning about. And then to, while you are making it with your child, to remind them that red means stop, orange means go slow, green means go. And this is what we are going to remind them that the cars do when they see it. You can make your little family in the car. If you are only 3, you can put 3. If you're only 2, you can put 2. If you're 4, or if you're more, luckily there is space for more in the car. And then you can make lots of vehicles and play for a little bit, and then you and your child can enjoy a treat. Today we're going to be working with Play-Doh. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to roll different balls and we're going to put them all on the table. You can make lots of different balls. Now the first thing that your child needs to do is they need to smash the balls with their fist and make it as flat as possible. So obviously they're going to smash, 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 smash until it is flat. Then you're going to roll balls again. Obviously we're going to roll as many as we possibly can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to smash it with a flat hand, as flat as we possibly can. So we're going to make a pancake. So first we're going to do it with a fist and then with a flat hand. Then the next activity that we're going to do, so it's a pinching activity. So what your child is going to do is they're going to pinch it with this finger, then with this finger, then with this finger, and then with this finger. Now what I advise you to do for that is you're going to line up little balls. You can make a row, you can make 10 balls, because obviously we're going to do it with each of our fingers. I'm just going to show you with the one hand quickly. So you're going to go squish with this finger, squish with the next finger, squish with the next finger, squish with the next finger, and then squish, and then so forth. Okay, very important. You can do this a couple of times to strengthen the finger muscles. Then when we're finished, we're just going to roll some balls, and then we can roll some snakes. And then of course, to make it interesting, you can add a plastic knife, you can add some cookie cutters, and then just let your child obviously enjoy Play-Doh. Very important to let them cut. This is a skill that they need to learn, this cutting action, to cut through, to cut all different directions. So please encourage that. We call that guided play because it's guided by you. And then obviously with the cookie cutter, where you can also encourage and then guide and say, oh, what's that? It's a flower. Oh, what's that? It's a moon. And you help them to cut through it, and then you can just leave them to just enjoy the Play-Doh.